Okay, this is another one of our Ann Arbor Trout Unlimited Facebook fly fishing videos. And they're just little tips. And remember to like us or comment, ask a question, and we'll get back with you. But if you do, you'll be put into a drawing for a fabulous prize at one of our meetings. This one has to do with my secret leader trick. I go out fishing with a lot of people. And again, this one person I went out with this summer had 20 different leaders and was changing leaders all the time. And I believe that the more your fly is in the water, the more chance you're going to catch a fish. If you're constantly changing leaders, and it's crazy. So I have kind of a little trick. I fish primarily in the Huron River, mostly for smallmouth bass, mostly in the, 10, 12 inch range. I'm using dry flies most of the time. If I do, sometimes on occasion, I'll do fish with big streamers, maybe on the ensemble or something. So here's kind of a rule that helps me save a lot of time. First thing is, what leader do you even start out with, or how does it work? How does this leader thing work, And tippet, what does that work? Well, here's the big rule. I'll hold it up here. It's called the 3X rule. And basically it says is you take your hook size, you divide it by 3, and that should be approximately your tippet. Now, most of the flies I fish with are 10, 12, and 14. 10, 12, and 14. Really, I don't go outside of that. Sometimes a woolly bugger, I'll kind of go out into this range. But in general, I'm always in this range. So here's my trick. Is I only buy, and I do buy my leaders. I like, regular leaders. I buy 3X and 4X leaders. And I buy them, in the little packages. And I typically buy 9-foot ones. And then I start to fish with them. Let's say I put a 4X leader on. And, I'm fishing, and then I realize that the fish are really, they like either the flies aren't turning over, or I'm using a number 10, like prime meridian, which is kind of bushy. I'll cut back that 4 about a foot, and it becomes a 3X leader because it's constantly getting thicker and thicker. Then if I start to look and I see, that they're taking smaller and smaller caddises, I'll put some 4X tippet back on. So I'm constantly really moving primarily between the 4X and the 3X. Occasionally I'll use some 5X tippet on there, but in general, it's really 3X and 4X. That's like 90% of the fishing you're going to end up doing, unless you're specialty fishing for pike or something, something else. So I personally will buy a bunch of 4X tippets, and then I just go back and forth on those, I'll put a little bit I'll cut them back. They're 3X tippets. I add a little 4X on the end. It's a 4X tippet. It covers almost everything I need. And therefore, you're not messing around with a lot of stuff. You just use a double surgeon's knot, you tie it on the end, and then you're all set. Then that way, you're not switching out your leaders all the time, and you know exactly what's going on. On occasion, if I'm using like a woolly bugger, something a little, with some weight on it, I'll actually take the 4X leader and I'll just trim it way back to maybe 6 foot long. And then then it's actually perfectly fine. Then I'm actually using really a 2X leader at that point, and a shorter leader for streamers anyway. So that's my trick. It's not much of a trick. It's just basically I'm lazy and I don't want to change leaders all the time. And I don't want to carry a whole bunch of leaders with me. So remember, like it, make a comment, say I'm crazy. That's okay too. And we'll put you in the drawing. And maybe you'll win some 4X leaders.